Straight and main talking point this morning. PDP governors raise alarm over frivolous borrowings.
They made more than just frivolous borrowings. they talked more about that. The PDP governors have been on a retreat, so to speak. They've been in Akwa Ibom since the weekend. They had a meeting eventually yesterday. The PDP governors, the caucus meeting, and when they came out, they had a 15-point communique to discuss the challenges facing the country. I mean, they labeled them one after the other. The debt issue was perhaps the most profound because they expressed the worry that the way we are going, country might be bankrupt soon. 36 trillion in debt. And of course, they also expressed concerns over the continued borrowing, even though the APC is wondering what debt that you're all part of. For instance, the CBN shared $2.1 billion to mostly to all the states in the country, mostly PDP states. They also collected the loan as budget support fund. Where did they think the money came from? But the PDP governors don't care about that. They have a 15-point communique. One of them, apart from the debt issue, was on the NNPC. They are worried about what the NNPC is carrying on. And they say they are alarmed at what the NNPC said, that it didn't have money to remit to the federation account. That cannot continue. That the operation of the NNPC in itself is opaque. They want a more transparent NNPC, and they don't want to hear that claim by the NNPC that because it's paying subsidy, it cannot remit to the federation account. They warned about that. They went and advised that agencies of government like NIMASA, the Customs, the FIRS, the MPA, and others should also be clear about their responsibility of remitting funds into the federation account. And I think the PDP governors believe that they've been under declarations among these government agencies and nobody is checking them. Another point in the communique, CBN. They describe CBN as Leviathan, and a government within a government, the way the CBN is carrying on, taking on more responsibilities than it should, and forgetting its primary function as lender of last resort. And they think that the government has encouraged it to be by the CBN, called the CBN to order. And then, of course, the debt profile is a problem for them. They think that the government is borrowing too much, rising uncontrolled debts will plunge Nigeria into bankruptcy, the PDP governor said. And then they have word for the Revenue Mobilization Fiscal Allocation Commission. They think, and in this communique, that the Mobilization Commission should review the revenue allocation formula and send it to the president for onward review. Yeah, and then of course the National Assembly to be passed into law. The revenue formula should change according to the PDP governors, and then they also declared support for the implementation of autonomy for judiciary and legislature. These are the PDP governors. Most of them in their states, I'm sure, does not recognize the autonomy of the judiciary and legislature, but today they have declared support. I think later today, the entire 36 state governors will meet in a virtual meeting to take a final decision on the implementation of this autonomy. I mean, maybe the executive order E10, on legislature and judiciary. We'll see indeed how it pans out. But we'll hear today that the courts are back in action today. Just have called off their strike. It's the first working day since they did. So we'll see again how that pans out. But one of the most important areas where the PDP governors harped on is on the Twitter ban. They told the president that he cannot embark on an ego trip and ban Twitter. He doesn't have reason to. He doesn't have the powers to even. And ask him to reverse that ban as quickly as possible, because a lot of Nigerian young people depend on that microblogging site to live. Small entrepreneurs, people who do small business. That is the area where they really operate, and that this ban is self-serving. It's just because the president wants to spite his own ego. Otherwise, there was no need to ban Twitter. And they talked on the power situation in the country as well. 15-point communique there, they addressed all the issues and eventually ended with security. They want the president to do more, and to carry the states along in solving the security problems in the country. They think that maybe the federal government is not carrying the states along, and that's why this problem persists. So from an opposition government, this is a good caucus meeting. It raises the major questions of the problems in the country today, and it has passed it on to the federal government to deal with. The federal government is an APC-controlled government. They might throw away some of this advice and not take them. For instance, someone has replied the PDP governors to remind them that they're also part of the loan problem. The money we borrow as loans, you take in your state as budget support, you haven't paid back even. But I think there are other areas. For instance, the matter of security is a matter that's a national problem, not a PDP APC problem. And then the PDP position on the Twitter ban, I think, is also very commendable because the Twitter ban affects everyone. especially the small entrepreneurs, on social media who manage to make their income from this ban. So we'll see indeed how the government reacts to this meeting. But the PDP has spoken, and you would like to see this kind of meetings as part of democracy in action.
Good.
Did you enjoy this video? Hit the subscribe button for more, leave a comment and like. Thank you.